there's something else to think about. With the evil corporations, yes. The corporations are running the world, yes. They're all out for profit, yes. Who are the corporations? We all own stock.
Right. Yeah.
Us.
Exactly.
You know, the gears are so meshed. We're all in it. And, you know, you can be an idealist up the kazoo, but if you're not in the stock market over the long haul, you can't keep up with inflation, blah, blah, you know. So we want stocks to go up. I mean, you know, we want our own survival. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just that we're all complicit in this, and it's really kind of not our fault. It's the way the system works, which is why the system itself, not just how do we fix this problem, how do we fix that, it's fingers in the dike until we change the fundamental belief system where the corporations function the way they do. We've got to find other ways to find satisfaction and to have value in our lives.
Yes.
But right now, you know, we're all part of that system. It's a radical system overhaul that we need to make.
Yeah.
Not some war on the corporations.
Right.
They are the culprit. It's us.
Yep.
No, we're warring on ourselves. We've got to really dig under and get to the foundation of where all of this is coming from, and redo that, explore that. And the circles, of course, are the, you know, means to engage us in that inquiry and that exploration.
Yeah, it's all beginning now. This is why I call this the new Renaissance. And that's...
Yeah, that's a good word for what hopefully is what's going on. Hopefully it's not, you know, the end of the world. Because it is the tussle. Will we go further down and really destroy ourselves? Or at this challenging juncture, will we go over the threshold into a new perspective?
Right.
We really are on the cusp here.
That's exactly. You stole the words from my mouth.
Everything, you know, I understand.
Yeah. Exactly. And, you know, that's where this whole crop circle mystery kind of ties in, because it makes us ask ourselves, who are we, and what is the nature of our existence? We're not alone, obviously. So that's the root of the solution to all of this big mess that I mentioned before, was like, and you mentioned, looking internal, and that's what the crop circle mystery helps to spark.
Yes, and then if we're in one peaceful conversation, wouldn't that be, you know, the whole world? What's going on? What should we do? It's we. We need to be we.
Yeah.
Not oppositional forces. We need to be one. And then we'll figure out how to solve we'll all figure out how to solve the problems, or have the best chance to figure that out.
Exactly.
We won't waste our resources killing each other. You know, we'll put our minds to making it a better world.
That's right. It all starts with the individual, and then it ripples out, you know? It's like...
But it's so obvious that that's what we need. They don't even talk about that on talk shows. They talk about, you know, the oil depletion,
I know.
global warming. I mean, all of these are horrible problems, as if somehow, now what's the fix? Well, the fundamental fix is to change the way we think, so we'll all be focused on solutions and not on war.
Yes. We've got to bring the community back to the community, the self back to the community.
Yes.
You know, and it's all small little changes that people don't even recognize sometimes because they're so small, but it's like buying local, supporting local farmers, making conscious consumer choices. You know, who do you want to support? Where do you want to put your dollar? That's how the market shifts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of those things, when we start really thinking about what are the changes that we need to engage in to make this a sustainable world. We're just not having that conversation, you know?
That's right. But here we are, Susan. You and I having this conversation.
Indeed. Right. You think everybody in the world could be listening? Would that be nice? It's a good conversation for everybody to listen to. I think, you know, most people ask me questions, how many are they, where are they, whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's all interesting information. I'd much rather talk about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
What's going on? What are the implications?
That's
where
right.
are we? How'd we get here, you know?
Yeah, it's very John Mackian, if I can use that term, you know, instead of looking at the black and white, looking at the message in the medium, like crop circles, you know. So here's another interesting...
I don't want to dissuade you now. Probably your next question was, well, where are they and how many are they?
No.
Okay, if you don't ask me those questions, it's okay.
Yeah, we don't even have to go there. Because, well, I mean, it's a cool question, actually, because there's so many different theories. I mean, especially talking about John Mack with the nature of dualism, like, you know, beings that may not even need physical presence, beings that may have physical presence, beings that may be extraterrestrial, or, according to some individuals, like Mac Tony's, crypto-terrestrials. So I'm going to leave that for now. I just want to jump back into the movie for a second, because you mentioned in the film, when you were in England, I mean, the whole film is you in England, but you say that there's about 300 of these crop circles that pop up every year in England. Like, England seems to be the hotbed. And my research into the area, you know, it's easy to recognize that that area has an incredible historical significance. And that's my conclusion about why these circles are all ending up there, with the idea of ley lines, energy grids, the druids that were there forever, the idea of... why do you think that England is such a hot spot for these?
Well, first of all, the 300 was the most they ever had, 300 in 1 year.
Okay.
Now, there's more like 150, half of them in England and half of them spread through about 40 other countries, and lots of them hoax, so you don't really know. You know, you have a real phenomenon, and you have, you know, copycats. With people do make copies of the genuine thing, or their versions of the genuine thing, and so you don't really quite know how many you're getting. But, you know, if you were going to pick a spot, and you would pick a spot so that there could be attention paid and that there could be research done rather than having them sort of random turn up all over the world. I mean, they do to some extent, which is swell, but it's more like the fringes is the rest of the world, and the heart is in England. In this little spot, of two particular counties, where it's a very manipulated landscape. That's where Stonehenge is. That's where the huge stone circle at Avebury, which we don't tend to know as much about. But when you get over to England, you realize what a major thing that is. Silbury Hill is there, immortalized by, the Beatles.
Right.
But a man-made, the largest man-made mound in the world, which is actually a pyramid under the mound. If you were going to pick a spot that had a kind of a sense of history, of ancientness, of an ancientness when we were one, when we did sacred ceremony, when we treated the earth as a sacred thing, this would be the perfect spot to pick, because you can hardly turn around in this area without stumbling over something ancient, some burial mound or pyramidish kind of thing. Stone circles all over the place. There's over, I think, 1,000 stone circles in the British Islands, spread out throughout the British Isles, not just Stonehenge. So, you know, if you wanted to kind of, at some level, deliver a symbolic message of, hey, look where we're landing. We're landing in a place that calls you back to a time when you considered yourself to be part of nature, which you really need to get back to.
Yeah.
You know, that would make sense. It's kind of beautiful, actually, that thought. And then there are, I don't know, there's a page where we actually talked about in the movie a few of the other speculative, you know, reasons why England, you know, and there's a whole laundry list of them, and we don't even talk about all of them in the movie, but, you know, we do a whole program about that. Why would it be England? Well, it's near a major city. When we realize that something's happening, news reporters will be there from all over. It was in the middle of the desert. How would they get there? Well, they wouldn't have crop circles, but whatever. So, you know, things like that. There's a whole, as I say, there's lots of speculative answers about why they selected this spot.
Yes, indeed. I know that we're running a little short on time here. We don't have much time left together, so I think it would be important to get to a little bit of the nuts and bolts about this crop circle phenomena in regards to evidence. There's tons of it. Maybe you can elaborate on some of that evidence that supports the idea that this is not a man-made phenomenon, and Doug and Dave can just continue to drink in the pub there.
Well, one of them's dead, so he'd have a hard time.
Oh, good Lord.
But the really most compelling answer to that, again, there are lots of answers for how we discern that there is a real phenomenon and it isn't all being made by people, and what is it that people can't do. Well, the science, our God of science tells us the most compelling things about what people can't do. There have been scientific experiments with scientific protocol written up in science journals, peer-reviewed papers in science journals, about the effects on plants and the effects on soil in crop circles that we can't do. So you need really look no further than that to say, Oh.
Yeah.
Not being done by people? No, we can't do that.
Exactly.
Lawrence Rockefeller, when he was alive, was funding a lot of that. It's expensive to do it right with scientific protocol. They take a lot of material into the lab, a lot of stalks from all over the formation, from control stalks from outside the formation. I mean, they really subject this to heavy-duty, appropriate science. And so you don't really have to keep doing that to establish the fact there's a real phenomenon.
Right.
And so, that's what I always point to and say, you don't have to go any further than that.
It's
and
true.
then, you have your characteristics of, there have been crop circles in virtually everything that grows, including young pine trees with stalks 3 inches thick, and they've bent over in right angles. I mean, you try that.
Yeah, it's like it's got there are microwave nodes and can be detected with equipment from radiation. Also, camera footage going blank from going into the circles. Both
yes, right. A fully
video
charged battery goes into the circle in one piece of equipment or another, and it's drained.
Yeah,
immediately.
Exactly.
Well, what's that? We say in the film about a film crew that went in there from a TV station, and they had white light on their film. This is when they were doing film.
Yeah.
There was white light on their film. When they got back, they said, "We never saw anything like this."
Exactly. Cell phone signals losing signal, helicopters
right.
and planes.
What's going on? Electromagnetic disturbance going on. Right. And hopefully don't create that.
It's an incredible amount of data indeed. Incredible amount of data. What was I was going to ask you something. Oh, right. Before we wrap things up for the day, I need to ask you, has there been any new reports or progress in the area? Any new crop formations popping up recently that you've heard of?
Well, as I say, we're at the height of season now. It's like the races. It's the season. And if you go to CropCircleConnector.com, you can see all the new ones.
Wow.
Each year they kind of, or usually periodically, they introduce some new idea. And, kind of at the end of the season, you go, oh, yeah, that season was all about perspective, or that season was all about interference patterns, or that season was all about fractals. Once they introduce a patterning idea, thereafter, every year you'll get echoes of it. And it's this new ideation that just blows the geometers away. It's like, whoa, they are so creative in how they're interpreting wheat.
Yeah.
Like, you get above it and you see it's 3D. It looks like pyramids are rising. Well, how'd they do that in wheat?
Yeah.
Well, they're very clever about these new kind of ways they do it. And so each year we kind of look for a new way. So you get on yourselves and look at CropCircleConnector.com, your listeners, and see what you think about the new season and what might be introduced. Last year it was jellyfish and dragonfly creatures last year. So I don't know this year yet. I haven't, put them all together and figured out what's the new pattern grouping, if there is one.
But there are new patterns.
Oh, there's new circles, yes, definitely. I don't know what the count is now, but they're probably up to 50 or so.
Wow.
Or perhaps more in England. They're coming in hot and heavy, more than one a day at this point, frequently.
Unbelievable.
And they're beautiful. I mean, they're just so fun to look at, Oh, how clever that is that they did that in wheat.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, this is a really incredible phenomenon, and for people like you and others who have gone to the sites, there is a real feeling of change in atmosphere when you enter a genuine circle, right?
Oh, definitely. You just feel, the air is crackling. Some people are more sensitive body reactions than others. They really have reactions. Sometimes people can't get in. They'll approach a circle and it will repel them.
Wow.
The energy's too hot. They can't enter it. I'm not very sensitive to energy. I'm a very mental person, so I just go into awe.
Yeah.
Who could have done this? What could have done? How could this be? But other people are really having physical stuff of various kinds.
Wow, that's incredible. So where does this leave us, Suzanne Taylor?
Oh, it leaves us with the necessity to open our minds, to be curious, to let new ideas in, to not, put up, a blind eye and say, oh, I won't pay attention to that. As we say in the film, it's so world-changing that it's easier to not pay attention. For as bad as the world may be, it's our world, and it's scary to think about uprooting the fundamentals. Particularly, the power structure doesn't like that at all. But everybody, we kind of cling to what we know. And this is so potentially disruptive to what we know, changeful
Yeah.
to what we know. And so, you know, the admonition is, hey, be curious, pay attention, open your minds.
Good.
That's what needs to happen. That's all that needs to happen. If the world opened its mind and paid attention, we'd be in a different world.
Well, it's like I say on basically every broadcast that I have, whether it's subtle or not.